Today we're going to talk about Rahu Ketu's natural relationship with the planetary lords. I'm Ramdas Sinclair, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit of a complex subject, which is Rahu and Ketu's natural relationships with the sign rulers. These relationships will let us know how the nodes are going to behave in each sign. I did a video on the other planets' natural relationships, and you can look at that for more details. But basically, Rahu and Ketu don't behave like the other planets. This area of astrology there's not a really clear consensus about how they behave. So what I'm going to do today is go through the formula that Parashara gives in chapter 1, verse 55. I'm using the Sharma translation. And then we'll work through it together so that you can see how we develop these relationships per his formula. And then we'll look at what the editor also gives, which has some changes that are a little different. I've looked at a lot of sources, and this seems to be pretty common, that there's not 100% consensus. So I will start off by saying that I think there's pretty widespread consensus. Rahu is considered to be exalted in Taurus by most astrologers, and that means Ketu is exalted in Scorpio. The reverse is true. Ketu is considered to be debilitated in Taurus, and Rahu is considered to be debilitated in Scorpio. And then there's also the Gemini-Sagittarius axis, where Rahu is considered to be quite strong in Gemini, and Ketu is considered to be quite strong in Sagittarius. So this takes on the Mula-Trikona level of relationships. So we're going to use that as the basis for our analysis today. So the rule that Parashara has given is that working from the Mula-Trikona of any planet, the sign that's the Mula-Trikona sign, you look at the lords of the second house, the fourth house, the fifth house from that sign, and also the eighth house, the ninth house, and the 12th house. And those sign lords, the rulers of those signs, are considered to be friends. He also explicitly calls out that the exalted sign lord, the lord of the sign where any planet is exalted, is considered a friend. But he does not mention the lord of the Mula-Trikona sign. So I know that I've just thrown at you a bunch of numbers. So what I'd like to do is we're going to switch over to the blackboard, and I'm going to work through this together with you. Okay, so let's summarize the rule where we can see it. So Parashara says the friends are planets that rule the signs, which are 2nd, 4th, 5th, 8th, 9th, and 12th, from the Mula-Trikona sign of the planet we're analyzing. He also says the exaltation lord, of course, would make sense that that's a friend sign as well. So for Rahu, we would see that the Mula-Trikona is widely accepted to be the sign of Gemini. So let's go ahead and draw in the charts, starting with Gemini in the ascendant. And now we can start to fill in the friends. So for Gemini, Cancer would be a friendly sign. Virgo would be the friend sign. Libra would be a friend. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Taurus would be the friend. And it's also where Rahu is considered to be in his exaltation sign. So now if we look at each sign, we see that for friends, you get the moon as ruler of Cancer. We have Venus as ruler of Libra and Taurus, and you have Saturn that rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Mercury is actually neutral because he rules the 4th house from him, but the Mula-Trikona is actually not given as a friendly sign. So it's listed as an enemy, which is a little counterintuitive, but like I said, this is what we deal with the nodes. For the enemy sign, you can see that Leo, ruled by the sun, is an enemy sign. Mars, who rules Aries and Scorpio, is also an enemy sign. And finally, we have Jupiter as ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces. So at the bottom here, you can see how the signs break out. Now, additionally here, the commentator on this version of Parashara has given his own interpretation of this, and I'm listing that in red. And you can see it corresponds pretty well to the rule, so it seems to be working. The only thing is that the moon and Jupiter is switched. While per the formula, the moon is second from Gemini, and so that would be a friend sign. He lists it as an enemy sign. And Jupiter, which we see as an enemy per the formula, he lists as a friend. So this is the typical sort of thing you're going to run into as you work with the nodes, because like I said, there's not 100% agreement. So I think this is a place where you can use your own expertise and your own experience and begin to fine-tune how you see the nodes working. Okay, so now let's look at Ketu. So the same rule applies, and we would look at Ketu's Mulatrikona sign is widely held to be Sagittarius. So if we put Sagittarius in the ascendant, we can see that Capricorn is a friend sign, Pisces is a friend sign, Aries, Cancer, Leo, and Scorpio are all friend sign, and Ketu is considered to be exalted in Scorpio. So we can now move to go ahead and look at what the summary is. So according to this scheme, Sun would be a friend of Ketu. The moon ruling Cancer would also be a friend. Mars is additionally a friend. So Ketu is friends with Sun, Moon, and Mars. Mercury would be an enemy sign because neither one of his Virgo or Gemini are considered friendly. Jupiter in itself would be a neutral sign because it rules a friend and an enemy sign. Venus would be an enemy sign because both of its signs are in inimical relationship. And Saturn would also be a neutral sign. So we can look at these relationships and see how this is what the rule applies. Now, if we look at what the commentator gives, you'll see there's a couple differences. The first one is the sun and the moon. So the formula Parashara gave would say that that Ketu is friendly, is giving his best aspects or his best qualities when he's in Cancer or Leo. So I could see that because those are both sattvic signs, and Ketu is moksha karaka, so he indicates liberation. It could bring out his higher nature there. However, the commentator lists sun and moon as enemies. So again, this is going to be up to your call and something that I encourage you to think about. But I could see how the sun and moon are being eclipsed by the nodes, so they would consider the nodes an enemy. But I think perhaps the nodes give a chance to give their best energy when they are seen, and that would be when they're in eclipse for sun and moon. Mars is considered a friend in both systems. You'll see that Jupiter is also considered neutral in both systems. But we have another divergence here between Saturn, which is considered neutral per the formula, but is considered a friend in the commentator's notes. And likewise, Mercury is an enemy, but is per the formula, but is considered neutral. So this is what I wanted to go over. I don't have hard and fast answers. A lot of astrology, we do come up to these things, but I wanted to present to you what Parashara says in the rule and what the commentator says. This is a great area for you to research and really study charts and see what you think about this and look at examples. It's good to keep both sets of these ideas in mind and see which one works in the chart, what explains the chart better, and you may get a better sense of how this is playing out. So as you can see, this is kind of an exciting area of an astrology. And when you really get into working astrology, you understand that there are a lot of rules, but there's also intuitive information that you just get that you have to interpret into these rules. It's not always this direct, like plot and plug in the formula. And this is one of those areas that's rather esoteric knowledge. We're dealing with karma after all. And so it's a great experience to start to weigh into these relationships and see how they work. I really encourage you to look at your own chart and study it very closely, and those in your family and your partners, to people that you really know, and you'll start to see what you think is working. So I wish you all the best in this endeavor. I hope you find it as exciting as I do. Thank you very much. Namaste.